Welcome everyone to this deep dive. Today we're unpacking the jobs to be done framework, or JTBD. It's really proving itself as a vital compass for companies trying to stand out, connect authentically with users in these super crowded markets.
That's absolutely right. When product differences become almost negligible, understanding what really drives customers becomes essential. JTBD shifts our focus away from, say, just product features or demographics
Right.
and pushes us towards understanding the tasks, the goals, the progress people are actually trying to make in their lives.
Exactly. It's not just about what a company sells, but about the job the customer is trying to hire that solution for. And when we say job, we're not just talking about a functional task, are we? It's more layered than that.
Definitely. The concept of a job in JTBD really covers three intertwined dimensions. First, there's the functional aspect, the specific task the customer wants to get done. Think maybe organizing of a business trip efficiently.
Yeah.
Second is the emotional dimension. This relates to the feelings the customer wants to experience or maybe avoid during the process, like feeling secure when using a financial service.
Makes sense.
And third, the social dimension, which is tied to how the customer wants to be perceived by others, projecting a professional image in a meeting, for instance.
So by getting a handle on these jobs in their entirety, the practical, the emotional, the social aspects, companies can move beyond just, transactional stuff and start designing offers that truly resonate with people's deeper needs.
Precise.
Our goal today is really to explore how this perspective allows for truly meaningful innovation, the time that doesn't just satisfy customers, but actually delights them, building loyalty and ultimately a sustainable competitive edge. And we should probably mention thinkers like Clayton Christensen, who were key in pushing this forward.
Correct. The core premise of JTBD is just that.
Oh,
Customers don't buy products or services for their features alone, but to get a job done. They're looking for something to help them make progress in a specific circumstance. And by digging into how customers are currently trying to get these jobs done and where they run into friction, hassles, dissatisfaction, that's where the real opportunities for innovation pop up.
yeah, and what I find really interesting is that JTBD isn't just about tweaking what's already there. By understanding the job from the ground up, you might invent completely new solutions, maybe things that look nothing like what's currently on the market. It's innovation that can really reset customer expectations, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And to get to that deep understanding, there are some guiding principles we need to stick to. The first is defining the job clearly. It's not enough to have a vague idea.
Right.
You need to articulate the customer's objective and the specific context where that need arises. There's a huge difference between, say, using a messaging app and staying connected with loved ones while traveling. The second one gives you so much more insight into the actual job.
And that context piece is critical because circumstances totally change how someone perceives the job and, well, whether a solution even fits.
Exactly. Where someone is, when it is, even their emotional state, it all plays a huge role. A solution that's perfect in one scenario might be completely useless in another. So that contextual understanding is just central to the JTBD framework.
Okay, and the third principle you touched on focuses on identifying those pain points and unmet desires.
Yes. The points of friction, maybe something's too slow, too expensive, too complicated, and also those aspirations that aren't quite being met yet. These are fertile ground for innovation. By addressing these, companies can create offers that genuinely make a difference in their customers' lives.
And finally, the focus on outcomes. It's not about the product features themselves, but what the customer achieves because of the product.
Precisely. The customer's measure of success isn't the technical specs of an item. It's the result it enables. The desire isn't really for a powerful vacuum cleaner, it's for a clean home. This outcome-oriented perspective is key for developing solutions people actually value.
Okay, so understanding these foundations and principles, we can start to see the tangible benefits of adopting JTBD. You mentioned disruptive innovation as one. Could you expand on that a bit?
Sure. By understanding those underserved jobs, organizations can create solutions that really shake up existing markets. It's not about incremental improvement. It's often a completely new value proposition that changes how a job gets done.
Gotcha.
A classic example might be, Netflix. They understood the job wasn't just renting a movie. It was about easy access to entertainment without the hassle and late fees of video stores. They didn't try to make video stores better. They offered a radically different way to get the job done.
And that naturally leads to a deeper connection with customers, right? How does that connection manifest?
Without a doubt. When a company solves a fundamental need, often even an unspoken emotional need, it builds much stronger loyalty. The customer feels like the company truly gets their struggles and aspirations. Think about a mental wellness app that doesn't just offer exercises, but understands the user's potential loneliness or anxiety, providing more holistic support. That understanding creates a stickiness far beyond just features.
Plus, JTBD brings some valuable strategic clarity. How does it impact business strategy?
Well, in a world of limited resources, you have to focus your efforts on what truly matters to the customer. JTBD helps you figure out which initiatives will actually move the needle and which are just, superficial improvements that don't add significant value.
So it helps prioritize.
Exactly. It allows for much more efficient and strategic resource allocation. For instance, a software company might have a huge backlog of potential features. JTBD would help them prioritize the ones that solve the most important underserved jobs for their users, avoiding wasted effort on features nobody really ends up using.
Okay, let's make this more concrete. Maybe we could revisit that ride-sharing company example you mentioned. How could the JTBD perspective actually change their approach?
Great idea. So initially, a ride-sharing company might assume their customer's main job is simply get to my destination quickly. Pretty straightforward.
Seems logical.
But applying a JTBD lens, they might uncover that for a specific segment, maybe people traveling alone at night, the real job is something more like feel safe and relaxed during my nighttime journey.
And that's a really significant distinction because a generic transport app might not be addressing that emotional need for security at all.
Precisely.
So what kind of innovative solutions could emerge from focusing on that underlying job?
Right. While speed is important, feeling secure might be paramount in certain situations. Recognizing this deeper job, the ride-sharing company could innovate in several ways. They could implement a really rigorous driver certification process with thorough background checks.
Okay.
They could improve the lighting inside the vehicles to create a more comfortable atmosphere, or maybe even offer a real-time trip tracking feature that passengers can share with family or friends. These features go beyond just getting from A to B. They directly address that safety concern.
So these innovations wouldn't just meet the practical need for transport, they'd tackle the emotional need for security head-on, setting the company apart from competitors. What other concrete benefits might they see?
Well, besides differentiation, they could build much greater loyalty among users who prioritize safety. By offering a solution that aligns directly with those deeper needs, you create a stronger emotional bond.
Right.
They could also fine-tune their marketing messages to communicate more effectively how they address that specific safety need, attracting the market segment that values it most. Ultimately, this could translate into, greater market share and sustainable profitability.
Makes perfect sense. The key is finding those jobs that current solutions aren't handling well and designing something that tackles them comprehensively. So how does an organization actually implement this JTBD framework? What are the essential steps?
The first fundamental step is talking directly to customers through in-depth qualitative interviews. The whole point of these conversations is to uncover the jobs people are trying to get done. A powerful technique here is asking why, iteratively. If someone says they use a task management app, asking, why do you want to manage your tasks better, might reveal the underlying motivation is actually reducing stress or feeling more in control of their life. You keep digging.
Then once you have a sense of the main jobs, it's helpful to visualize the path the customer takes to get them done. How does that customer journey mapping work?
Customer journey mapping involves detailing every stage the customer goes through when trying to complete a job, from recognizing the need to finally achieving it. And crucially, you identify the friction points along the way.
The frustration.
Exactly. Moments of frustration, confusion, maybe even points where they just give up. For example, in hiring a service, maybe a really complex sign-up process with tons of unnecessary requirements would be a major friction point.
Right. The next logical step would be to sort of organize and understand the nature of these jobs you've identified. How can we classify them and figure out which ones matter most?
Classifying the jobs into functional, emotional, and social categories gives you a valuable structure for understanding their complexity. Then, you evaluate how important each job is to customers and how well current solutions are satisfying them.
Is there a tool for that?
Yeah, a useful tool here is the importance versus satisfaction matrix. It helps prioritize those jobs that are highly important to customers but are currently underserved by existing options. Those are your prime innovation opportunities.
But it's not just about what customers say, right? Observing how they actually behave in real situations must be crucial too. What can direct observation tell us?
Oh, absolutely. Observing behavior in the real world can uncover implicit needs that customers might not even articulate. Paying attention to workarounds or hacks people use to overcome the limitations of current products or services can signal innovation opportunities.
Like a clue.
Exactly.
Mm.
For instance, if you notice many users of a digital note-taking tool are also using separate apps to visually organize their ideas, that might point to an unmet need within the original tool itself.
So, with a clear understanding of the job, the pain points, potential areas for improvement, the next step is actually brainstorming potential solutions. How should we approach that prototyping process?
Prototyping should really focus on solving the identified job and delivering the outcomes the customer values. It's essential to test these prototypes with real users to see if they genuinely improve their ability to get the job done effectively.
Hmm.
So maybe for a new mobile app feature, you could create a low-fidelity interactive prototype. Let users play with it, give feedback before you invest heavily in full development.
And the feedback you get from that testing is critical for refining the solution. How does that loop back into the continuous improvement process?
Iteration based on continuous feedback is just a core part of the JTBD process. Gathering user comments and adapting the solution based on them ensures the innovation stays aligned with the core job, especially as customer needs and context evolve over time.
Right, things change.
If users of an online platform are asking for more customization in how they view data, you need to take that seriously and adjust the design to improve their experience of doing their job of analyzing that data.
Finally, for the JTBD philosophy to really take root in an organization, it seems like it requires some training and maybe a cultural shift. How do you achieve that internal transformation?
Training the team at all levels, product design, development, marketing, sales, to adopt this jobs-focused mindset is fundamental. You need to foster a culture of genuine empathy for the customer's needs.
So it permeates everything.
Ideally, yes. It should influence all decisions and contribute to creating more effective solutions overall. It means shifting the metric of success away from just product features and towards how well you're solving the customer's job.
So to sum it up, the jobs to be done framework is really a powerful philosophy for deeply understanding the customer and designing solutions that genuinely address their fundamental needs.
That's it. By focusing on the progress customers are trying to make, companies can move beyond just incremental improvements and unlock significant innovations, the kind that make a real difference in people's lives.
And the benefits are pretty clear. More relevant products and services, lasting emotional connections that build loyalty, and a more sustainable impact in the market.
Although, it's important to acknowledge that implementing JTBD takes time, effort, and a real commitment to actively listening to customers. It's not, a magic bullet, but a continuous process of learning and adapting.
But the investment in this approach really seems worthwhile given that it leads to solutions that solve real problems in a meaningful way.
Absolutely. For organizations aiming for leadership in their fields, adopting the Jobs to be Done framework is a crucial step towards innovation that's truly centered on what matters most, the customer.
And for you, our listener, maybe take a moment to reflect on the underlying needs behind the solutions you use every day. What jobs are you trying to get done, and how could they perhaps be addressed even more effectively? It's a fascinating question to keep exploring, and perhaps a chance for your own deep dive into your own needs.